we're back again from Monsterpaloza, and we couldn't really do this at Transworld because it was just too busy. But we're here at Monsterpaloza with the show today, first day of the show being over, and we're here with George from Immortal Masks.
Yes.
And George, there's like a lot of questions I want to ask you, and there's a lot of people in the haunt industry that really like when I do these behind the scenes of the haunts, because it's like somebody who actually is asking smart questions about like things that they would want to ask. And so I just want to ask you some questions and talk to you and get a tour of all your masks.
We came at a good time. We just cleared out everybody so we could actually see everything without people away.
Yeah, I know nobody's here.
Yeah.
But George, you weren't at the haunted house industry like when I was, okay? When there was like no mask companies at all, okay? And then you had like Don Post and stuff like that. And then
I was a fan though. I was still a fan.
You were a fan, but somebody came along and like did Silicone masks. I can't remember what company it was. It was kind of
SPFX.
Yeah, that's right, SPFX. But I think there was another one as well. And then of course CFX came along, and then you just kind of like came out of nowhere like a bat out of hell, okay? And so when Silicone masks kind of hit the scene, it was like, oh, we have like 5 of them, we have like 10 of them. Now when you come to Transworld, you've got like, it seems like a gazillion.
Yeah, almost 1,000. Yeah.
And you have just like literally like Godzilla stomping all over Tokyo, right? And I'm not saying the other mask companies aren't great, because they're all great, but you just have so many.
We like to make masks.
So how in the world did this get started for you guys?
Started in the garage.
Started in the garage.
Yeah, started in the garage with an idea. While Andrew and I were both working at another effects company. That's where we met. And I remember when he said, I'm going to try making these silicone masks. And I, at that time, when we were working there, I already had bought one from Rusty from SPFX, so I knew what he was talking about. I liked them, but I was like, I don't really know a whole lot about this. And then he started the company first. I was a supervisor at another company. And he dissolved his partnership with his first partner, and then conveniently we both quit our other job, and I became available. And so he gave me a call to come take a look at his company. That was kind of basically it. And so I did, and I saw potential in what I thought he was going to be able to do, and I thought that I could probably help. And so first I came as an employee, then about 3 months later, I bought him and bought half the company in with him.
And where was the first place you decided to try to start selling these? Was it at Transworld?
Yeah, conventions, Monsterpaloza and Transworld. Because when I first came to Andrew, I even asked him, I'm like, so how are you selling these things? Like, you have one phone line, and it's just, if somebody happens to answer, there was no website, anything yet. So it was conventions and a one-line phone.
And just so we're on the same page, Andrew is your partner, and he won the last season of Face Off.
Yes, yeah.
Like kind of going away. It was almost unfair because it was so lopsided.
He's a good artist. He's fast. He's perfect for that show.
Yeah, and so and he won Face Off, and he's your partner, and you guys do amazing work. But how many artists do you have to do all this?
So. With all of our in-house people and all of our subs, there's about 40 on payroll.
40 on payroll.
Yeah. At any given time. That's inclusive of all the sculptors that we have.
And then at your physical shop, which, by the way, we're going to come by and see how to make a silicone mask, because you already said we're going to let us go there and get the whole tour and see how it's done. But like, how many people does it take to make these orders?
There's 32 employees, including admin, right now in the shop, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 divisions. So the mask could potentially pass through all those different divisions.
32 people are working there, and this started in your garage.
Started in Andrew's garage, yeah.
And the idea was to go and sell them to haunted houses.
Yeah.
That was your whole plan.
They were the first people to embrace us, because we basically at the time left the film effects industry. And we're seeing a writer strike right now in Hollywood, so it kind of slowed down. This actually happened again in 2008, and that's when basically the idea for Immortal was born. It was more along the lines that we know we can make cool stuff. Why are we marketing it only to this type of industry when they're not necessarily buying? So what if we just made cool things and marketed to anybody who wanted it? And the first people that embraced us was the haunted attraction industry. Because of what we were making. We made kind of a quicker solution to a complex makeup application. That's what these masks are.
Have you talked to other people who do effects in the effects movie industry that came to you maybe for some advice, like should I get in the haunted house? Should I start selling stuff to haunted houses? Have you heard anybody talk about? I'm not talking about masks, but like props, animations.
I think effects artists have definitely realized that they can freelance outside of the Hollywood, and again. Turning that towards things like the haunted attraction industry has been lucrative for them. So I've seen it happen a lot more often over the course of the years. I think it was funny. You bring that up. I think maybe 15 years ago, Hollywood effects artists would have turned their nose up a little bit at Halloween. You know, it's weird because we all came from that though. We all grew up as the kids that loved horror movies and Halloween and dressing up and making masks. But then they thought, oh, well, I'm doing it for film, so it got to be serious now. You know?
So this company that you started in your garage, and you kind of primarily thought, we're going to sell masks to haunted houses. Now it's like you're doing a lot of Hollywood stuff.
Right, so it came back full circle. So when we started off doing...
What percentage is haunted houses to film?
I still think that our bread and butter is probably Halloween in general. So haunted houses and
collectors.
Collectors and anyone who wants a really cool costume might just come to Halloween.
How did you build up your social media? Because I think that's like one of your primary marketing tools. Because you went from nothing and now you've got this huge following on social media.
I knew early that Facebook was the way to start with, you know, and really. It was a personal pride thing. I actually was really proud of building up our Facebook page, and then the early days of what was called viral media was happening. So like we were lucky enough to have that happen to us when viral media was just starting. Like I think Unilad and LED Bible and stuff like that were doing things, and
what was the secret sauce to get it? Like for example, on Instagram.
Well, Instagram was was formulaic. Like so Instagram was like. I knew what I wanted my page overall to look like. I knew that I wanted to fill it with the same look all the way through so that when you kept scrolling, you would always see nothing but new masks, new designs, and we'd go, wow, I can't believe there's so many. And I wouldn't interrupt it with like flyers and and text and it was just the same thing over and over again. That became like how I did it, and I just kept doing it over and over again repetitively.
Which social media, like if you had to dump them all but one, which one would you keep? Which one do you think is the most powerful tool for you to sell masks?
I think for staying power, Instagram.
Instagram?
Yeah, although TikTok's obviously caught on. It just works differently than what I can do with Instagram. Instagram is great because it's like an extra free website.
When you go to Transworld, do you look at the other silicone mask companies?
I look at the ones that are my friends because I don't feel weird being in their booth.
Yeah. I'm sure they feel maybe a little threatened.
I mean,
we're honored that you're over there.
I think I'm friends with like 90% of.
What was the coolest silicone mask you saw at Transworld that you did not do? That you go, man, I wish we would have done that.
It's not so much a wish that I would have done that. It's like I'm glad that I didn't. Like I loved Basement Effects and Savage Silicone's hamburger.
Yeah.
I don't imagine us ever making a hamburger, so I'm glad they did it. It's kind of like that. It's like I'm glad somebody did it. If anybody was you, because it's like the same way back. I see that with other things too. I'm like, that was really cool. I don't think I would have done that, so I'm glad that you did. You know?
Yeah, the hamburger is outrageous.
Yeah.
Now, a mask that you did that I thought was like stupid crazy was that. The Day of the Dead, what's that called? The Hispanic.
Oh, the one we did. Based off of what's it called?
The Disney.
Yeah. It's not. Is it Encanto? No, not Encanto. Coco.
Yeah, Coco.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it's fun every once in a while to see one of our masks and then envision it as like what if we did just a little bit of tweak like this and it looked like. Like something else. That was a fun one to do.
How many masks are you doing? Like, how often do you have a new mask coming out?
Oh God, like every week.
Every week you have a new one?
Yeah. There's currently, I think 7 or 8 sculptures being worked on right now.
And then how many do you have currently for sale? Like how many are there? 100, 200, 500?
My catalog, no, there's almost 500 different designs in my catalog now. I think there's actually more because of the faces now that we're doing.
So here's another question I want to ask you, because me and you have had this conversation many times about actors, like say not wanting to wear a silicone mask because it's too hot or whatever. Now, what have you learned about from the haunted house community who would come to you and tell you, could you change this? Could you alter that? Have you learned stuff from your customers?
The goal is always to be able to take that in and see what we can do. And then there's always going to be limitations because there's something.
So what have you changed? Like what have you done different based on suggestions?
First was the half mask. I wanted to end mid-neck. There's a certain amount, a little bit of relief. So that was one of the first things we did. And believe it or not, we actually made that, the first half mask that we made that was cut off the neck was for a promo for a director friend of mine who wanted to do it for a horror movie. And he asked me if I could make my pumpkin mask but cut the neck off, and so we did. I'm like, hey, these kind of work. So then it kind of led us to the first sculpted half mask that we did. And then those were our thing for a while. And people found them comfortable. Then, like you said, there's still warmer climate. So then we started experimenting with the face silicone mask, where it's just a strapped face silicone mask. And I'm not gonna say we're the first to do it. Other people tried it first, but we saw things that we liked about what they were doing and things that we didn't like what they were doing. And we kind of, I want to say, simplified some of them, and then went, where are the drawbacks and what can we make better? And I think what we did is we found a nice.
Do you get a lot of suggestions from haunted house owners?
Yeah, of course, yeah, we do.
I know me and you have talked a lot. You know, one of the, like a suggestion I would have is like on the hands to not make them go up so high, so they're easier to get on.
So we are, and thank you for the suggestion. So we're actually about to start a new series of arms and hands. So some are going to be just hands, and some are going to be like a little bit longer, but they're going to end in some like an armor. And they're going to work really well because you don't have to worry about blending them off and everything.
Is there ever a point where like you guys sit around and go, you know what, we've sculpted every possible monster there could be, until you saw that hamburger, right? Right. But like maybe we need to go in another direction. Like we need to make like more applications for arms, chests.
We saw
costumes. You started doing costumes.
Costumes, yeah. And learned a lot about that. We'll continue that line. The way we do it is kind of like bringing out a fashion line, though. So it's like you bring in designers, then you have pattern makers, and then you have to find manufacturers. And so it's not like we're stitching one by one at home. It's like you got to find people to bring a line out. And so we're working on a kind of a series of new designs for that.
Yeah, so like what do you think, like what do you think Immortal Masks will look like, say 3 years from now, 4 years from now? Will there be like things other than masks?
Sure, yeah, there will be, for sure.
Like you're like thinking.
We always have talks about other things, and we always come back to them, and eventually we get to a point where we make them. So we're working on an animatronic mask right now. We're talking about some full body stuff.
Now, you know, a lot of people take your masks and use them for animatronics.
Sure.
Is that something like is very easy to do?
It'd be better if they were sculpted specifically for the animatronic, but it's cool that they're able to get them to work. So. Yeah.
Have you guys thought at all about, like, say, I want to get into the prop business or making animatronics or things of that? You talk about it? Oh, yeah. So that's a possibility down the road, yeah? So tell me, George, if we could take a look at some of your masks. But before we do, let me ask you, what is the most, like, popular type of mask that haunted houses buy? And I mean, like, is it scarecrows, is it zombies, clowns?
We notice this now. We see trends. Like, and it's funny. I don't even know if there's points at times where we're like, are they talking to each other? Is this on purpose? Like, in the last year and a half, aquatic. We've seen like a lot of fish things, or fish leaves, or things like that. I'm like, is this a thing? Like, we don't really know if that's what's happening, but we see these trends where like people start going for that, or animal hybrids. We'll see a lot of that one time, or classic monsters. Or they're going for a lot of like Franks and vampires and like that scene. So I'm not sure if collectively the industry is all kind of thinking the same thing. We see trends like that no matter what, but definitely we see that in what we're selling too.
Hey, how does it make you feel? This is like so off the topic. When you hear about some criminal who robs a bank and he's wearing a silicone mask to completely hide his identity.
I think.
Have you had any of that, like where people have bought your masks?
Yeah, but so we haven't had like a robbery in our mask. Like I think like we had some like at most. Like we finally did get a phone call. And we're like we always work with the police whenever we get a call, but I think it had more to do with a fraud thing than it did with
because your masks are so realistic,
yeah.
And you make a whole line where it literally can make you old
yes.
or young, yes. And we won't go into details, but we know like people have bought your masks in the past to hide their identity so they could like blend in with society, and so like obviously people could buy them for bank robberies. We've seen all the bank robbing movies.
Could, I look at it this way. I'm like yeah, but sooner or later there's going to be a paper trail back to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
dumb. They'd have to get somebody else to buy it for them. But like, what is like getting back to the one question? What is the most popular type? Like, I know you have trends, but like overall, like even if this one's not the most popular this year, it's always popular. Like, what are people buying the most?
Aliens.
Aliens?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Dude, you gotta see this alligator mask over there.
An alligator mask?
It's wild.
Yeah, we have a gator.
So George, let me ask you this question. Your two main shows are this one,
sure,
and you don't go to MHC.
No, but I go to Transworld.
Okay, so Transworld and this show. And so is there any comparison whatsoever between Monsterpalooza and Transworld?
They're very different from each other, but I like that. Transworld is a trade show. So it's like you should be doing business there. That's what it's geared for. And you can tell there's a pace that comes along with that. It's like a work hard, play hard environment. So like Transworld's a whole experience and an event, but it's the big show,
You're one of the biggest vendors there, especially probably with revenue, like writing orders and whatnot. People are always saying, move the show, go to another city, do this, do that. What is in your opinion, do you like?
Right where it is.
You like it right where it is?
Yeah, I think again, it's a trade show, so it's about doing business. It is cool to get to see friends and family faces, but ultimately that's what a trade show is. So I think single location that people are familiar with, having it in the same place over and over again, makes it actually a good thing. Plus, everyone's like, oh, we should go to Vegas. From vendor standpoint, I think Vegas would be just as fun as anybody else, but I don't really want you spending your money in a casino. I'd rather you spending your money with us. That's what we came to do. Right?
Or the other vendors.
Right, exactly. So
I tell people, George, and I've said this 100 times, I even did a video on it. Is that, people complain about, we want to see different haunts, we want to do this, we want to do that. A trade show is not about haunt tours. It's about putting vendors and buyers together to see new product.
And that's what makes
a haunt tour is just a bonus.
Right, yeah.
Because I always say, MHC, if you said, we're going to have MHC this year, but there will be no haunt tours, there will be no customers. Right. Nobody will go, right? But Transworld, if you say, the darkness isn't opening, because it didn't for 3 years straight, no one's going to care. Because they're coming to see all the new Immortal Masks or see Distortions or Scare Factory.
Those are all great, and I'm glad that you do it when you do it. It's awesome to have the extra things to do. Technically, what we should all be there for is it should be all industry related. So the seminars are really important. It's great to have the social gatherings because I think it's a great thing to get to know each other. But ultimately, we're there to get everything set for the season. I'm there to show everybody what I got, to remind you I'm still making more things, to ask what you guys are doing so I can see within the next couple of months, are there things that I can actually be sculpting that will fit those things that you're doing? And it's all generated around the specific industry.
And what do you think about the fact that the show has literally been dominated now by mask companies and costume companies? Do you think that's a good thing?
It's good that people are paying attention to the character aspect of it. I think that's an important thing, no matter what, because it's we can't really automate these things. There's a great part that's always going to be actor driven and character driven.
I can tell you when the first show happened, I don't remember there being any costume companies or any mask companies.
Right.
It was all props and animations.
Right.
And now it's a lot of character driven type stuff. So hey, show us your booth.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to actually come back and see your shop.
Can be made.
But these are examples, and tell us what the differences are.
So these are our newest line, and these are the Immortal faces, and this is our strapped silicone mask. So they work just like any one of our masks, but they're sculpted on a little bit of a different form, and they're meant to fit around, and these high torque straps hold everything back, don't sag, keep everything close to the face, and then your face will operate the mask just like our regular masks do.
And is this one the same way? It just has a hair?
Yeah, it has a wig. Wig just comes right off. Straps come off that. So they come with optional wigs or hoods, or you can costume any way you want to.
And then you have, so these are with straps as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything over here is our faces, so these are all strap masks, and it's a new line, so we're developing them. But they're kind of like.
Was it really popular at Transworld?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we sold a lot. Yeah.
And so
these are the
here,
ones you're talking about. So when you're saying like, I got a lot of actors and they get hot wearing masks, but I need a bunch of them running around. Well, I'm like, okay, these are great. These are for those ones.
and you know what? I'll tell you something, and I'm just going to say it because it's totally true. Yeah. You know, these days to do. If people want to know the secret sauce, everybody's always asked, what's the secret sauce? You know, I want to know what your secret sauce is on Instagram. But you know, the secret sauce really to getting more attendance and whatnot is to have good, you know, digital media content. And when you buy your mask, like nothing's better than to like film these characters in your haunted house.
And so it's the same way, like I won't even release a mask yet until we got a chance to shoot the movement video. Like I'll sit on it until I get my actor in, like that, and then we costume the character as the best we can, or you know, because I want to present to the public what I think is an idealized version of what the mask is. I don't want to just throw another guy with a t-shirt. I want to show you guys can dress these things up. This is for you to have fun with. So yeah, so me.
Do you get a kick out of seeing haunted house commercials and saying, "Oh, there's my mask"?
Yeah, I mean, it's trippy to see our stuff. I mean, it's neat to see our stuff appreciated all the way around.
And they're great for growing TikTok and Instagram, making little quick 5-second clips with these monsters.
That means we're doing something right. They're enjoying them. That's what we're hoping to do. You know, like. It's weird because you want to see people wearing it.
And I'll tell you, all the silicone companies are great. All the mask companies are great. They all have cool stuff, and they really do help you grow your social media.
Yeah.
Because it makes you look more like Hollywood.
Right.
If you're not good at makeup, see, in St. Louis we have no film industry like Atlanta, where you can snatch a bunch of makeup guys.
That was the thing when we were starting. We knew that. Like we wanted to give people the level of makeup excellence that we were doing in LA, but we know that like most, not everyone's going to have like a giant makeup team like they do here. So these became a really viable option. It's like, well, what if we could just make it all in one thing and just throw it over in 10 seconds?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you one more question. Yeah. Let's just go in hog wild into your mask. Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
This literally, you've seen this commercial or this trailer, right, for the Winnie the Pooh?
It already came out.
Yeah.
Did the movie already come out? How did it do?
It did well. I mean, they made the movie like they said.
How did that come about? Was that a mask you already had? They called you and wrote a movie about it?
They just bought it on my website. Like that. So honest to God, truth, I had no clue that like. Later I did. So there are a couple of filmmakers from England. They had been actually buying masks for years and using them in their movies. And I was aware of their movies. I just didn't know they were the same guys that did this movie. Funny story. We were working with Disney for some stuff at the time. They were coming to the shop and we were having some meetings with some people from Disney. And I wake up in the morning and I see like one of the horror mags, like Fangoria, or Dread Central, that had this thing about this movie called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I'm like, oh wow, that's our mask. So I called my partner Andrew. I said, oh, check this out. I sent him the link. By the end of the day, Variety was running it, People were running it, and I'm like, oh man, I hope this doesn't mess up our things with Disney, because we made this mask to be just like a cartoon bear. Like that was just like the thing. We didn't even think about painting it yellow until like the third casting. It was meant to be more like a Yogi Bear probably. The brown one was the first one. So we painted one yellow, they bought it, and we didn't realize that the whole thing that was going on was that Winnie the Pooh became public domain. So this Disney property now is public domain, and the first thing that was coming out was a slasher movie.
Of Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question. Yeah. See, because Winnie the Pooh is public domain, just like Wizard of Oz. Mm-hmm. But Warner Brothers owns the likeness of those characters, sure. Okay? You did these masks. So can they make this movie without your permission? Because isn't it your intellectual property at this point?
So yes. We allow for the use of our mask in media. And we allow for the use of our mask in the promotion of said media. Anything past that requires a license from us.
So did they get a license from you to do?
I'm in like 19 different licenses right now regarding that mask.
Really?
And especially like, oh yeah, because that movie like took off in a weird way. But of course, it's kind of like the Scream mask, right? Like the ghost face mask. That mask existed before Scream did, so they have this like joint licensing deal with the mask. It kind of works the same way. In other words, anything that has blood and honey that has the image of the mask, they have to go into a licensing deal with us as well. So I'm in like.
But so for haunted houses, when they make like content using your mask, you're allowing that. Okay. All right, but I think it was a good question because that thing blew up and everybody went crazy. A killer Winnie the Pooh. Yep. You know, did they actually have? I didn't see the movie. Did they have a Tigger and?
They had
and did you do those masks?
They had Piglet, and we did that mask.
You did Piglet as well?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that just kind of was crazy.
They're working on another one.
They're working on another one. Okay. And so here's your line of why we were talking about.
Yeah, so we brought some of the humans to the show. Usually I don't, because I'm always like, oh, monsters and stuff. But I thought it was kind of fun to bring some of the humans this time. So
and then you have scarecrows.
They light up.
And deformed characters.
Two-face guys, yeah.
What is like the most popular mask that you sold off your website? Like we've sold the most of this all time.
I mean, some of it's licensed stuff, like Art the Clown from Terrifier. I have the license on that. That sells really well. Aliens sell really well. The zombies will always sell well. So the Last of Us stuff right now, the cordyceps style zombies are doing really well.
And by the way, that's a good question because, you know, like CFX has done a lot of licensing deals.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're doing licensing as well. What license masks do you have for collectors?
Court of the Dead, which is Sideshow Collectibles. I have Art the Clown. We were in a licensing deal on Freddy Krueger. I have a couple other every licensing deal is different from each other. So I have a couple other ones that are brewing. But yeah.
And one of the things too is like when people buy your masks online, they can choose like different colors, or if they want hair or they don't want hair.
And we can do custom sculptures, and we can do like custom cut work and custom hair work.
Did the Spider-Man movie contact you to see if maybe you would do a rhino for them?
So we did that one a long time. I think sometimes we get these things where like, let's just see if we can do it.
And is this the Winnie the Pooh?
No, this is a new one.
This is like a new version?
This is more of a regular bear. We're still planning on herring this one, but we haven't done it yet. And this is the cordyceps zombie. That's a mushroom zombie.
Yeah, I saw that. And then you talked a lot about the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some fish there.
You need to buy this one.
Aliens.
And these are new.
Yeah, these are brand new.
So how does this work exactly?
Yeah, where do you see?
Right there. Your eyes are right there. This is a big sheet. So see the hole right there?
Oh, yeah.
The eye is right there. Your mouth is right here, and you operate the mask.
See, the only person that would wear that mask would be me.
And how in the world is all these like veins and everything like painted on there? So how many painters do you have?
8.
And look at these bulldogs. You got like a whole line of animals. You got apes, bulldogs, and then what are these technically called here?
Those are like a ghost character we did.
A ghost character?
Yeah. We wanted to see it was like this fabric-y statue that it was based off of. We made like a ghost character.
Yeah, look at the alligator.
And then of course you got a lot of really cool skeletons.
Look at the alligator.
Yeah, he's cool. You know, when I think of him, I think of one of my favorite things as a kid. I was never a Star Trek fan, but I always liked that one episode of
Gorn,
where
it's like it's a classic reptile character.
You should get this one too. This is like an Aztec-y looking one.
Yeah, that was fun. Sometimes we just get we just get abstract, and that was called the deity. But yeah, totally based like that.
And then you got these like
a
luchador wrestlers.
Yeah, we really wanted to capture the materials they use, and so it was a lot of cool stuff that we did with flake that goes into it in silicone, which is pretty neat. This one's really cool. It has a lot of holographic flake inside of it, so you can see it changing kind of color.
I noticed too, lately you've been trying to incorporate lights and and stuff like that.
This one would be cool for the greenhouse. His face kind of looks like a beehive.
And there's the Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, that's the one.
Is this your biggest seller now?
He's a seller. I think because the movie definitely helped it.
That clown, that is sick. You know, when I think of silicone masks, okay, I think of all of these deformed people, because in a haunted house, a lot of people don't have like a costume department and stuff. So whenever you like put them in a jumpsuit, like a Michael Myers jumpsuit, you have a lot of masks that could just go with a jumpsuit.
Right.
You know, does that ever come into your thinking when you're like the kinds of costumes people can?
We're always aware of the fact that sometimes like some masks sell well because they're expensive, but they're easy to costume. Like a zombie's easy to costume.
Yeah.
Other things like you can have a really cool mask, but don't have to worry about spending breaking the bank on a costume. Or like a Frankenstein character makes them like undersized clothing and you kind of do that. This is
Now I noticed too that you're making a lot more masks for women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then this must be a new line here.
So that's part of the same idea of the mushroom zombies, and we did that one's brand new today. And the funny thing about this one is to continue this idea of the mushroom zombie is this mask is actually just a regular zombie. And we made these add-ons. So this one actually is now in this family because of the add-ons, all the mushroom add-ons.
And then what percent, how many masks did you bring here? And then how many do you normally bring at, say, Transworld?
So there's a little over 400 here. Transworld's getting closer to 1,000.
You bring 1,000 masks. So you're talking about it's like $1 million of masks.
Yeah.
And how do you get them there?
In a truck.
A truck?
Yeah.
Do you drive them yourself or you ship them?
No, we hire freighting companies. Yeah, it takes a whole semi now to take our stuff there.
Man, these are so cool, George.
Thank you.
On a daily basis, I guess you're never shocked if a celebrity calls you or a movie studio.
It's always fun.
It's always fun.
Yeah, but no, like now it's getting a little bit more routine, I guess. But there's always that moment that you're like, wait, what are we doing? So.
How long does it take to make one mask? I'm talking about like, say you've already sculpted it and you want to make one.
Right, so it's sculpted, molded, you mean already, right? So
it's already molded, yeah.
Let's see. 1 day in mold prep and casting, 2 days in patch, 1 day in paint. You could literally, if you had to, you could probably get a mask done in about 3 days.
3 days?
If you really had to, you probably could even go with it.
Riley?
It's like, what's her name? Joan Rivers?
No, it's like that one girl who did all the...
It's a mix of a
remember,
bunch
you know
of
that lady that did all the plastic surgery?
Yeah, and also a little bit of Pete Burns from Dead or Alive.
Well, George, I also noticed you got this new line of sliced in half clowns.
We had to do the chainsaw clowns, like every haunt had it. Universal had them, like, the Chainsaw Brigade and stuff like that. And so we thought, well, what
did you do any at half masks?
Have we done this? Not yet. No, those are brand new. We did them last year. We thought it'd be kind of funny to show the chainsaw clown having mishaps.
I really like the masks, like where they're dolls.
Oh, we have some more dolls.
This one's a doll.
Yeah, he's good.
I have 2 new doll characters. One we just cast the first ones this week, so he didn't make it here. But it's a half mask. He's a cracked, aggressive male doll called Tantrum.
And where are you guys based out of?
We are based out of San Dimas, so we're in Pasadena right now. San Dimas is about 15 miles east of here.
And how many square feet is this shop of yours?
The shop is about 12,000 square feet.
Have you outgrown it? Are you thinking about moving?
Possibly.
Possibly?
Yeah.
So this is like half.
We've been looking at a couple spots, but we don't know for sure yet. There's also ways to make what we're doing work.
So, hey, 2 more questions. Sure. Like, what is the warranty on your masks?
If you take care of it, I'll take care of you. There's no real warranty on the masks, but I haven't had any issues.
No issues at all?
No, I mean, for the most part, everyone understands their responsibility. And if there's something that's a factory defect, I'm going to take it back and fix it for you.
Let me ask you this question, because this is like really important for Silicone Masks, right? What is, from Immortal Masks' perspective, the proper way to put the mask on? Okay, and then what to do after you've taken it off and used it, and then how should you store it?
Okay, so putting the mask on is, it's easier to show you, so I have a video, right? So if you go to the FAQ section of my website, I have a video illustrating how to put a mask on properly,
okay,
how to take it off. As far as care for the mask, the good thing about silicone masks is they're really not that hard to take care of if you don't mistreat them. So as far as just general upkeep, a baby wipe, alcohol, like 99% alcohol is good, or 90% or higher.
Spray Lysol inside of them?
I mean, you can, but I think it lingers a little bit. I think something like pure isopropyl alcohol. It's going to kill bacteria and it's going to evaporate. So.
But how do you keep your mask from, like, say, falling apart? Like, if a haunt doesn't have, say, air conditioning,
sure,
whatever, what should they do to keep their mask, like,
put the mask. We generally provide the mask in a plastic bag, so I recommend that. It keeps the dust and dirt off of them. Like, if you don't put on a head form, which by the way is not necessary. Like, you don't have to have the mask on the head form. The good thing about silicone masks is they don't really take misshape off of the form. You just don't want to put like heavy things on them, creasing them and things like that. But you can just take a mask off, lay it flat in a bag, and put it on a shelf, and you're good.
And that's what you recommend?
Yeah, because that's all you really need to do. Like,
but is the head form a suggestion?
Yeah, if you want to display them, sure.
Yeah.
Like I think
they're cool to display.
They're cool to display, and I think also like for anybody who, if they're part of your business, is part of your inventory. So if you're a haunt, right, that's part of your inventory. So the best way to see every year, if they're all in head forms, you're gonna know, okay, that looks good, that might need some touch up, and you don't. There's no surprises, so because they're always out like that. If you're pulling them out of bags later, yeah, okay. If you don't know how the masks look, you might be surprised if you didn't pull out early enough to look at it and see if it needs any touch up work.
I got a question.
Oh, Riley has a question?
Do you know anyone with more of your masks than this guy?
Universal Studios, but you're coming close.
You're in second place for Universal. How's that feel?
You're coming close.
I know it is kind of crazy, but I have to say that I use them. And we have masks from other companies too, but like we use them for promotional videos. We shoot videos, and we also shoot CGI effects. Like you've seen The Darkness, lots of CGI effects. So
that's the thing. You can. I want you guys to be creative. I want you to have fun with them. You don't have to use them in any traditional sense. So if you're figuring out new and cool things to do with them, like shooting promotional videos or shooting CG things with them, that's why I made them. I made them for you guys to figure out what to do with them. Have fun. Like, this is the part we get to have fun with, and then once they're in your hands, you get to have fun with it.
And then there's Winnie the Pooh.
There's Winnie.
And dude, I cannot believe you made these. This rivals the hamburger. It really does rival the hamburger.
Now and again, like our idea is borderline on like silly, but there's always a conversation about it. Like even when we did these, there was a conversation about like what scared us when we were kids, right? And we were talking about Chuck E. Cheese and mascot costumes, and like when you were a kid, there was a 50-50 chance.
The Easter Bunny.
Yeah, you'd have a meltdown if you went to the Easter Bunny.
You need to make an Easter Bunny.
Yeah, I know. Then we talked about a rabbit. We're trying to figure the ears out right now. But that's what these guys were born out of. We went, well, why don't we make these creepy silicone, like living mascot characters?
What is your favorite mask of all the ones that are here? Do you have one?
God, it changes all the time. Let's see. There's a couple masks that are here right now that I really like this season. One of them is this one, Mothman. Just because it was a neat design and when the eyes light up, it's really cool too.
He is cool.
Yeah, and then this one, Slayer. I don't know why I really like this mask, but I love it. It's one of my favorite masks.
So let me ask you this, George. What is a mask that you made when you saw it, you go, no one's going to want that? Okay, but it ended up being like a huge seller. And you're like, oh, I missed that one. Because sometimes you make a mask and you just say to yourself, oh, I don't know if this one will sell.
Yeah, but those are the ones I usually like the most. So we used to call it like 3 for 1. So it's like you make 3 for them, 1 for you, and 3 for them means you make the given. They're gonna want a zombie. They're gonna want a vampire. They're going to want a Frankenstein, something like that. So you make the 3 for them, and you roll the dice on the third one because you don't know if anybody's going to want to see that, right? But you want to see it. And we've done that with a couple of masks. The rhino mask was one of them. Like we're like, well, who the hell's going to want what? Why would you want a rhino mask? But we just want to see if we could do it. A good example, we made a great white shark mask.
Oh, I have it.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what? We made a video out of that. We did a video like just for like, say for example, it rains and it's a Saturday and we're going to be open. Yeah. So we made a video with the shark, open, rain or shine, and it's like, splashing water all over him.
That's what I'm saying.
And we put him in a suit.
And we needed, it was like a challenge because we couldn't figure out how to make that work. Like how are you going to put a human head in the shark and what's that going to be? So I mean, why would anybody want a shark mask? But we needed to get it out. We needed to see it.
And then did you
done.
see James Gunn's Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
Was
King Shark. Yeah.
King Shark.
And people have done cosplays with that mask as King Shark and made it big, and we're like, that's why we made a shark, you know? So I think there's times that we like the little kidness comes out where it's like, it's no longer about the business. It's like, you know, I have no idea if it's going to sell. There's nothing saying that there's a need for this, but I need to see it made. You know?
Well, thanks a lot, George.
You're welcome.
And how do they find you on the internet?
Our website's www.immortalmasks.com, and then Immortal Masks on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, and then we will see you, I guess, at Transworld 2024. Are you happy that it's going back to March?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think that's the right time for it?
I think so. I think I was able to do February, but it was a bit more rushed to the end than I thought it was going to be. It's nice to have that one little extra.
Was the show good for you this year?
It's excellent for us.
Yeah.
Every year has been better than last year. Like, that's no joke. Every year we've done better than the year before.
Well, thanks a lot, George.
Thanks.
And, you know,
I'm glad you made it out here, Larry.
it's an unbelievable, journey. It's like you're the, you've become the Steve Jobs of masks. You know, started off in your garage. Maybe one day they'll, make it a, national memorial. Here's the garage.
I'll have a movie. Who'll play me?
All right, man. George, you take care.
Thanks, sir.